Terry Gilliam, it's a pleasure to meet
Thanks.
you. Zero Theorem is your new film. What is the Zero Theorem?
It's how can you make zero 100% or 100% zero? I don't know. That's why I made the film, to try to discover what the Zero Theorem was. And even at the end, I'm not certain.
Okay. And is Zero Theorem, the young Terry Gilliam's Brazil, revisited and updated by the older Terry Gilliam?
The only comparison really is that Brazil was about the world I saw in 1984 and the way I thought what was going on. And this is my attitude towards certain elements of the modern world. It's not really about the future, it's about now.
Okay.
And unlike Brazil, see, Brazil was in a dystopia. This is in a utopia where people are happy and colorful and zipping around at work on rollerblades and having a wonderful time, not thinking, you know.
A utopia.
That's a utopia.
Because one thing I'm interested in Brazil, the lead character struggles against the system. Do you think in Zero Theorem that system has been internalized?
Now you're getting there. I think that's what's happening. I think he's not fighting against anything at first. He wants to understand what the meaning of his life. Okay, but I think in the end he does start fighting the system as such. But I'm not sure if he can escape the system in Zero Theorem. Perhaps it's so much part of our lives now that either connectivity or the virtual world is slowly encapsulating ourselves, and most of us don't even realize it's happening.
And that's true, because virtual reality is a big part of the Zero Theorem. Do you think virtual reality has overtaken imagination, or is it an equivalence now between the two?
Oh, I think they're very different, because the virtual reality is somebody else's imagination, not yours. And I think that's what's one of the things interesting about the two protagonists in Brazil and then in Zero Theorem. In Brazil, he's a fantasist, a dreamer. He's got all these images of flying and all, where the one in Zero Theorem, Christoph Waltz, doesn't really have any imagination at all. And yet the virtual world seduces him. And in the end, maybe the only world he can find some kind of contentment in.
So he sort of almost buys the virtual world, isn't he? His own imagination is outsourced in a way?
I don't know. I think the problem is it is what's happening in the virtual world. The thing that always bothers me is whether it's dating in the virtual world, where people take on avatars or create avatars. And what happens, do they ever meet in real life, these people, or is it safer not to meet and just have your relationships in this virtual world where you don't really have to deal with the complexities of an actual human being?
You left the United States, your native country, in the late 1960s. You said because you wanted to avoid political protest. In any way, is there a way that your films are an exploration of ways of escaping reality?
I don't know if you ever escape. I think Brazil was a battle between reality and imagination or escape. And it ended in madness, in a sense, which maybe was the only happy ending I could think of it with that particular system that we created in the world. I mean, to me, in all the films I do, I try to create a world that has legitimate rules, and whatever those rules are, you're stuck with them, and how do you deal with them? And it would be nice to have possibly another ending, but within certain systems, that's just a fantasy to think you could have another ending. So.
And do you think our reality is something that we need to escape?
I think I would love to escape it, frankly, because I think.
Welcome to Ireland, then.
Well, this is the great thing about Ireland. Magic still rules here. There's a madness here that is so
true.
Ancient and pagan. It's still here. The trees talk. Yeah, the grass.
The trees are on the country at the moment.
I know. I mean, I love that. I think there is nature, which I think is the most wonderful creation ever. And if one starts dealing more with the natural world, you find infinite wonders there. The virtual world is a bit repetitive, I think, and it's a bit self-serving. It's not its own thing that we have to react to. We just use it to solve our weaknesses, our frailties, our failures. For the natural world, if you fail with the natural world, you're dead. But if you learn to live with the natural world and embrace it, you can have a wonderful life.
That's true. Hopefully you're not replacing the natural world with the virtual world.
I think we are.
I think possibly. One thing, your films have been lauded for their imagination and their visual beauty. But what's often overlooked is your work with actors, like the great performance of Jonathan Pryce in Brazil. Yeah. I'm thinking particularly of Fear and Loathing in Las Vegas, Benicio del Toro and Johnny Depp. That's one of the best comedy duo performances in the history of cinema, and it's just wonderful. Do you like working with actors?
I think that's the only thing I like about making movies these days. No, because the other stuff I can do, I can create visuals and all that, and it's the actors that keep the process alive for me every day, because, you know, if you plan a film too carefully, it becomes this mechanical exercise. And actors are there, and they have different attitudes towards what the script is and what the character might be. And they surprise me every day. Oh, I didn't think it was going to be like that. And either you go with them, or you try to turn them into what you conceived, which I'm happier to go with the actor and see where this takes us.
Brilliant. So it keeps it spontaneous.
Yeah, I can usually fix it in post in the editing room, because I still have got the scissors and I can take that. But that's what's exciting for me, the actors. And I never thought I was good with actors, but I kept discovering I seemed to be, and it's partly because I'm a good audience. I create a very safe world that we can play in, and they can make absolute fools of themselves, and I won't expose them to the world. And once there's that trust, then the fun starts.
Michael Palin has said that you are in opposition to the world, and you yourself, you've spoken of enjoying a battle. Yeah. Do you need a battle to do your work?
I think so, because I'm fairly reactive. And I'm also fairly greedy, so when I'm making a film, I want everything. I want all this stuff. And it's only the limitations that make me make a choice on what is important and what is less important. So it prioritizes things for me. And if you're getting a fight over the budget, and I'll say, and by the time we can't do that, we can't do that. Eventually I'll say, okay, that's the thing I need and will not compromise on. You can have that. And the way it works. And so the films are really a product of that battle. If I was to be given all the time and money to do whatever I want, I would probably be lost.
Well, that's true. They say that a lot of art needs its limits to work within them. I mean, that was evident in the documentary of the making of your Don Quixote film. Yeah. I mean, you ran up against some serious limits there. That was madness.
That was the time the limits won.
But did you ever feel at that stage, this is it, I'm down? I mean, did you ever feel I've lost this battle?
Yeah, totally. Yeah. But there was another side that was a relief, because I knew that we didn't have enough money to finish the film as we were going, and that somewhere down the line the same event would occur.
Sorry, but did you not know that in pre-production?
I knew we were in trouble. There was a word.
But you didn't want to admit it to yourself, is that?
No, because you have to keep going. In films, momentum is everything. Right. You cannot let it go, because there's any number of reasons the plug will be pulled at any moment. So you march forward. I really knew we were in trouble down the line, because production was a mess. Many things weren't properly prepared. And so this way, God came to my rescue. And by crushing us in 5 days, I didn't get the blame.
Well, that's totally, I mean, there was nothing you could do. It was insane.
And I might have got the blame further down the line if it all went wrong. So there was a good side to it.
You've spoken about a desire to be an outsider, that you didn't want to be normal. One, do you think you've acquired the status of an outsider? And two, is there a price to pay for being an outsider?
I don't know. I just always want to see if there's another way of looking at the world. Because if everybody's going one direction, I'd rather go the other way, just to see what's going on. And there might be a useful balance in all of this. So it is always frightening when I get things like BFI fellowships and all these things. They frighten me, because that's establishment. I'm now in the court. And so I resist all of that. The price to pay is that I'm not doing the films I would like to make all the time. I do less films than I really wish I had done by now. Right. And that's it. That's the breaks.
And are you going to have another go, another stab at Don Quixote?
But of course. I've just come back. I've just come back from Spain, a second trip down there on locations. We've got a start date of the beginning of October. I might pull it forward to the last week of September.
That is brilliant. I wish I hope that goes well. It's been an absolute pleasure. I hope you enjoyed the interview. I didn't feel that it was a Spanish Inquisition.
And you'll see that on stage in July at the O2 with the Pythons.
I look forward to it. It's
Cheers.
A pleasure, Terry.
Thank you. Thanks. It was lovely.
Thank you.